Hello everyone, welcome to Narayana Online Classes. We are going to be practicing some prerequisite questions of 2D geometry, alright. Most of these concepts you might have studied in 10th standard, but we are going to revise them, and it is very important that you should be 100% clear with everything, okay. These may seem very basic, but trust me, it's very important, alright. Okay, let's start. First question. If the midpoints of the sides AB and AC of a triangle ABC are 3, 5, minus 3, minus 3, then the length of side BC is what? Alright. So, what is given to us? That there is a triangle ABC and midpoints of side AB and AC, right? So, you take midpoint of AC as E and midpoint of AB as F, then coordinates of E are 3, 5, coordinates of F minus 3, minus 3. Alright, we don't know the coordinates of A, B and C. The length of side BC is being asked, right? So, do you recall that when you join midpoints of two sides, you get a line segment that is parallel to the third side? Do you recall this? And also that side BC would be exactly double of side EF, correct? So we know this from earlier classes. We know that if E 3, 5 and F minus 3, minus 3 are midpoints of which sides? AC and AB respectively, then first EF is parallel to BC, right? That comes from the line joining midpoints is always parallel to the third side, that theorem you have studied. And also, and BC will always be 2 times EF, correct? Now, so up to this point it is geometry, after this it will be algebra. How? Therefore, BC is equal to 2 times, how do you find the distance EF? Distance formula, right? Using distance formula. Also, EF equal to, this is using distance formula, the most basic coordinate geometry formula. EF is equal to under root E is 3 minus 3 the whole square plus 5 minus 3 the whole square, minus 3 the whole square, right? Which is under root, how much is that? 3 plus 3, 6 square, plus 5 plus 3, 8 square, right? So that would be under root 36 plus 64. How much is that? Sum is 100. 36 plus 64 is 100. Which means this is equal to square root of 100, which is 10. Anyway, you know that 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triplet. Similarly, 6, 8, 10 are Pythagorean triplets. So whenever you have under root 6 square plus 8 square, directly you know answer must be 10, right? Okay, so that is the length of EF, which means BC is how much? 2 EF, which is 20, correct? Got it? Okay, let us proceed then. If the distance between the points A cos 48 degrees 0 and 0, A cos 12 degrees is D, then D square minus A square equal to what? Alright, so distance between these 2 points is given to you as D. Let A cos 48 degrees, 0 and B 0, A cos 12 degrees, right? It is given that the length AB is equal to D, right? So let us just apply distance formula and see what we get, which means D square is equal to A cos 48 degrees minus 0 the whole square plus 0 minus A cos 12 degree the whole square, right? I am deliberately sticking to D square. Normally we will put a square root also, but we are going to go with D square because eventually we need D square, alright? Okay, so this would simplify to A square. You see the zeros, we can simply ignore them, and once again there is a 0 minus, so negative of this the whole square, again we can ignore the minus. So A square cos square 48 degrees plus A square cos square 12 degrees. Yes, verify that. Okay, so now do we have a method of adding cos square theta plus cos square alpha or cos square A plus cos square B? We don't have a direct formula for that, correct? Do you have any similar formula like that? Recall, there is a formula that says cos square A minus sin square B. Okay, there is a way of simplifying that. So then we can try to convert this into cos square A minus sin square B. So we will write this as A square cos square 48 degrees plus A square into 1 minus sin square 12 degrees, correct? So you take this A square is a constant, you take it outside. A square into 1 plus cos square 48 degrees minus sin square 12 degrees, right? And you see this entire thing is D square, which means if I take the 1A square to the left hand side, I will have D square minus A square, right? You take 1A square to the LHS. So this means D square minus A square is A square into cos square 48 degrees minus sin square 12 degrees, right? Now we know that what is the formula for cos square A minus sin square B? Cos square A minus sin square B. It's a very important formula. It is cos of A plus B into cos of A minus B. Alright? Similarly, there is a formula for sin square A minus sin square B. In sin square A minus sin square B, it becomes sin of A plus B into sin of A minus B. Right? Just keep in mind that when you're doing sin square minus sin square, it is sin. Only in terms of cos, it will be cos square minus sin square. Just, don't make that mistake. Alright. So then using that, we have D square minus A square. It will simplify to A square into, you see cos square minus sin square B, cos of 48 degree plus 12 degrees into cos of 48 degrees minus 12 degrees, correct? So that is A square. How much is that? Cos of 60 degrees. Cos 60 degrees. And this becomes 48 degrees minus 12 degrees is 36 degrees. Cos 36 degrees. Now, cos 60 degrees is something that you are well aware of. This is half into cos 36 degrees. But what is cos 36 degrees? Do you recall? Do you remember trigonometry? You made a long derivation for that. Both sin 18 degrees and cos 36 degrees. This would be root 5 plus 1 divided by 4. Okay, in sin 18 degrees it was root 5 minus 1 divided by 4. For cos 36 degrees it is root 5 plus 1 divided by 4. Multiply them inside, you have A square into root 5 plus 1 the whole upon 8. Okay, so A square into root 5 plus 1 the whole upon 8. That is D square minus A square. Got it? Okay. Now, what if it doesn't occur to you that you have to apply this formula. You have to apply cos square A minus sin square B, because many times in trigonometry you don't always know, it doesn't occur because there are so many formulae, you don't know which formula to apply, right? So there is something slightly different that you could do, alright? So we already know that d square is a square cos square 48 degrees plus a square cos square 12 degrees, right? So you could go in a slightly different direction. Start with the observation that 48 and 12, how are they related? If you add them, you have 60 degrees, correct? That seems to be the most important relation between given numbers. Add them, you have 60 degrees, which means their average is 30 degrees, right? Average 30 degrees, which means I can write this as 30 degrees plus 18 degrees and 30 degrees minus 18 degrees, right? So this is a square into cos square 30 degrees plus 18 degrees plus cos square 30 degrees minus 18 degrees. Now, you have the formula for cos of A plus B as cos A cos B minus sin A sin B. Similarly, cos of A minus B is cos A cos B plus sin A sin B, right? If you use that formula and expand this, because of the plus and minus, some terms will get cancelled and the rest of the terms, for all those terms, you know what to write. Can you visualize this, which terms will remain? From here we'll have cos square A cos square B plus sin square A sin square B plus 2 cos A cos B sin A sin B, one long term. Once again, cos square A plus cos square A cos square B plus sin square B minus 2 cos A cos A sin A sin B, right? Sorry, from here there will be a minus, from here there will be a plus, but those terms will definitely get cancelled. You will only be left with cos square 30 degrees, cos square 18 degrees, sin square 30 degrees, sin square 18 degrees, and terms related to that, but all of those values you already know, okay? And proceed. Okay, so you will get the same answer. This method will definitely be longer, I accept, but just in case that other method doesn't occur to you, at least you should be able to proceed and finish, okay? My suggestion would be try and finish this also and make sure you get the right answer, okay? Alright, then let us proceed. The abscissae of 2 points A and B are the roots of the equation x square plus 2ax minus b square equal to 0. And their ordinates are the roots of y square plus 2py minus q square equal to 0. Then the distance AB in terms of AB PQ is what? Alright. So, the abscissae of 2 points. What is the meaning of abscissae? Abscissa is the Latin word for x coordinate. Similarly, ordinate. I don't think it is Latin, but anyway, ordinate is for y coordinate. Okay, so just for your understanding, abscissa corresponds to x coordinate and ordinate corresponds to y coordinate. Alright, so this is just for your understanding. Now, in this given question, observe that even though it is a question of coordinate geometry, you are seeing quadratic equations. Alright, now this is one of the reasons why JEE loves this chapter of coordinate geometry so much, because it allows bringing in concepts from trigonometry, quadratic equations, polynomials, all of algebra can be brought in. In fact, occasionally calculus will also be brought in, complex numbers can be brought in. Okay, so which is why this unit of 2D geometry all the way up to conic sections, starting from this point, it's a favorite for JEE. Okay, so which is why you need to be clear with the basics and then build up from there. Okay, so the abscissa of 2 points A and B are roots of the equation. So let us first write the given equations. Given equations. X square plus 2ax minus b square equal to 0, mark it as 1. Let the roots be the abscissae of A and B, right? So, roots will be x1 and x2, x coordinates of A and B, right? We should also probably add somewhere, let A and B, okay, hold on, let A be x1 comma y1, B be x2 comma y2, okay. So then roots will be x1 x2 for the first equation. In this case we're not saying let the roots be this, it implies roots are x1 and x2, right? And what is the second equation? Y square plus 2py minus q square equal to 0, mark it as 2. Once again roots will be the y coordinates, right? The ordinates, okay. So now we need to figure out the distance AB, okay. So now from all this also distance AB, instead of writing this distance can we just use square, right? Distance AB square would be, I'm just trying to avoid the square root, you know. So distance AB square would be x1 minus x2 the whole square. Let's just not have this. So also AB square equal to x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square. This is simply distance formula. Now the question is, based on whatever is given, based on the given quadratic equations, how do you get to this point, okay? Which means based on this information in equation 1 and 2, I need to find x1 minus x2 the whole square, y1 minus y2 the whole square, okay. Some of you might have already figured it out. From these two equations I can get sum of roots and product of roots, correct? Using sum of roots and product of roots, somehow I need to get to this point, right? So now do you recall there is a formula that links difference of roots with sum and product, right? So we will say from equation 1, x1 plus x2, x1 plus x2 is, look at this, minus 2a, right? And x1 x2 would be minus b square. Similarly from 2, y1 plus y2 would be minus 2p and y1 y2 is minus q square. Now using all of this information, how do I figure out what is the value of x1 minus x2 the whole square? So then we will say also we know that, yes, alpha minus beta the whole square. How do I match it with alpha plus beta and alpha beta? If you expand this, you will have alpha square minus 2 alpha beta plus beta square. You just add and subtract another 2 alpha beta. So it becomes alpha plus beta the whole square minus 4 alpha beta. Okay, if you know this formula, great. If you don't know this, memorize this. Very, very important. So alpha minus beta the whole square is alpha plus beta the whole square minus 4 alpha beta. Only if this occurred to you can you realize that, okay, you know what, I can apply this formula because it uses only sum and product of roots, right? Which means x1 minus x2 the whole square would be sum square minus 4 times product. Sum square is minus 2a the whole square minus 4 times product, which is minus b square, right? How much is that? That is 4a square plus 4b square, right? Mark this as fourth, result number 4, right? And y1 minus y2 the whole square would be sum of the roots the whole square. Sum of the roots is minus 2p the whole square, right, minus. So minus 4 times product of the root square. Product of the roots is minus q square, right? Pardon me, I think I said something wrong. Sum of the roots the whole square minus 4 times product of the roots. There is no square here, okay? In this particular case, product of the roots is q square, that's why we are writing q square. But otherwise, it is just sum of the root square minus 4 times product of the roots. That's it. Okay. so this will turn out to be 4p square plus 4q square. Mark it as 5. Okay, so now you see, in 5 you have y1 minus y2 the whole square. Then in 4 you have x1 minus x2 the whole square. And we have said earlier ab square equal to just this square, right? So basically putting 4 and 5 in 3, right? AB square is basically x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square, which is x1 minus x2 the whole square was 4a square plus 4b square. Plus y1 minus y2 is, the whole square is 4p square plus 4q square. Right? So you take a 4 outside, you have a square plus b square plus c square, sorry, no c there, plus p square plus q square, right? That whole thing is ab square, which means AB is equal to 2 under root, you see, square root of 4 will become 2, the rest of it will have to be under root a square plus b square plus c square plus, again no c there, plus p square plus q square, right? So that is option 2. Okay, so you see, many of you would be very comfortable with distance formula, I understand, but JEE can always twist the questions like this, which is why you should be able to comfortably use simple formulae in mixed type questions. Okay, alright, let us proceed then. If the distance between the points k, 2 and 3, 4 is 8, okay, this is very straightforward, right? We know that d square is x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square, and you know what is x1, x2, y1, y2. So d is given to be 8 square equal to x1 minus x2 k minus 3 the whole square plus y1 minus y2, so 2 minus 4 the whole square, right? Which means 64 here. This is, instead of expanding this, see, one way of course is to expand this, but since this is the only bracket that has k, you can, it is better to leave it like this, okay? We will not expand it, we will leave it like this, plus this is minus 2 the whole square, so this becomes 4. You bring the 4 here, we have k minus 3 the whole square is 60, correct? Which means k minus 3, not 30, 3. We are taking square roots now. So k minus 3 is, must be plus or minus root 60, right? Yes? So k must be 3 plus or minus root 60. Got it? This one. You can think of it as, from a given point, there is a, we are trying to measure a distance of 8, right? So let us say this is the point 3, 4, and we are trying to measure a distance of 8 units. But you see, there can be another point on this direction which is also on a distance of 8 units, right? So there should be 2 values of k, in which both the y coordinates are 2. So think of this as k1 and k2. k1 would be 3 plus root 60, k2 would be 3 minus root 60. Got it? Just to get an idea. Alright? Okay. Let us proceed then. The distance of a point x, y from its image in x-axis is what? Alright. So, the distance of a point xy from its image in x-axis. Now, if you take any point right? X comma y. Let us call it A. Then its image about x-axis. Let us call this A dash. Would be what? Do you realize that for A dash also, the x coordinate is exactly the same. The x coordinate exactly the same, but the y coordinate becomes negative. So x comma minus y, right? So put it like that. All right. So this is A dash x comma. Okay, that doesn't look like x comma minus y. Let me write it neatly. X comma minus y. All right. So this is A dash. Now we want to get the distance between these 2 points. Now one way obviously is to use distance formula, correct? But you know this much, that if this is the y coordinate, then this distance is y, correct? See, instead of using the formula, I am just using geometry. That definitely this distance must be y units, right? In which case, and if this distance is y units, this distance also must be y units, right? Which means total distance is 2y units, correct? So learn to use geometry like that. If you want, you can use the distance formula, but I think it is better to go with geometry here, right? So we'll just say from the diagram, A dash equal to 2y units, right? That distance. Should I go with 2y? Don't do that. Okay, I know a lot of you would be tempted to go with 2y. Just keep in mind that distance as a value will always be positive. Okay, we just by the English sense of the term, distance means the gap between two things. Now that gap cannot be negative, no? Right? Of course, we go into physics, you take directions into consideration, then you can put, but all of those things are notations. Here we are talking about the distance, which means we want only a positive value. But keep in mind that y is a coordinate, which means y can be negative. Meaning, what if A was here? Okay, instead of A dash, what if A was here? Then this would become x comma y, in which case y becomes negative. If y is negative, then 2y becomes negative. But as an answer, we want only positive value, right? So I will just keep in mind that I deliberately wrote it like this so that some of you will get confused and then you realize your mistake. But y may or may not be positive, and distance must be positive or 0. So a better way to write it would be non-negative. Distance must be non-negative, right? So which means A dash would be 2 times mod of y. When we put mod of y, we are ensuring the fact that it should be positive, right? Okay. So again, why did we do this? Because in case A was here x comma y and A dash was here x comma minus y, then this distance is not y, it is minus y. How can distance be negative? It's not negative. Y is the one that is negative. And this one will also be minus y. Okay. So instead of thinking about plus and minus all the time, we will just say 2 mod y. Alright. Got it? Okay. Then let us proceed. P is a point on the line x equal to y. If the distance of P from 1, 3 is 10, then x and y coordinates of P are both equal to. Alright. So P is a point on the line x equal to y. Now first, what does the line x equal to y look like? If this is your origin, x equal to y, keep in mind, will be every single point where x coordinate and y coordinate are same, right? So x coordinate and y coordinate are same. X coordinate and y coordinate are same. So this is a very important line. X equal to y will look like this at an angle 45 degrees from x axis. Okay, so perfectly symmetric. All right, so that is for your understanding. For this question, actually it is not required. All right, so this is the line x equal to y. Now, if the distance of P from point, P is a point on this line. Okay, let us call this point P. Now, if I want to write the coordinates of P, should I write P alpha comma beta? I can, but if I use the property that x equal to y, it means both coordinates are same, which means I can actually write it as P alpha comma alpha. Learn to use the properties of the given information in the question in the diagram itself, because it will reduce a number of variables. See, if I just write P alpha comma beta, then I need two equations to solve for two unknowns. But if I write P alpha comma alpha, then I need only one equation to solve for one unknown, right? Better to write alpha comma alpha. All right, and the distance of P from the point 1, 3 is 10. Then there is some point 1, 3 somewhere here, but we need not show it in the diagram, right? We will say let P alpha comma alpha lie on x equal to y, right? Then given the point Q 1, 3 and PQ equal to 10 units. This is given to us, right? So now let us use distance formula. We know that PQ square would be x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square, where you know what is x1, y1 is for P, x2, y2 is for Q. PQ is 10, so 10 square equal to x1 minus x2. x1 is for P alpha minus x2, for Q it is 1, the whole square plus y1, again for P it is alpha, for Q it is 3, the whole square, right? Now do you realize this is only one equation and one unknown, and it's a quadratic equation, which means we can solve it. This is very important while solving any problem, to reach a stage where you realize, okay, definitely I will be able to solve this. That is very important. Okay, so now it's just a matter of simplification. This is 100 is equal to alpha square minus 2 alpha plus 1 and alpha square minus 6 alpha plus 9, which means bring the 100 here, 2 alpha square minus 8 alpha plus 9 and then minus 100, so minus 90 equal to 0. I think I can remove a 2, which is, let us just write it on the next page itself. So when I remove a 2, it becomes alpha square minus 4 alpha minus 45. Which means alpha square minus 4 alpha minus 45 equal to 0. Now what are the factors of 45? 3 into 15, 9 into 4, sorry 9 into 5. Okay, 9 into 5 will work because we want the difference to be 4, right? So this means alpha square minus 9 alpha plus 5 alpha minus 45 equal to 0. Clearly this will add to give minus 4 and their product is minus 45, right? Now you know factors and everything, but you have done it so many times. Let us just directly write alpha equal to 9 or 5, correct? We can write that because the coefficient here is 1. When the coefficient is 1, directly you can write the negatives of these values. There should be a minus here. Minus 5, right? Which means P alpha comma alpha is 0.9, 9 or P minus 5 comma minus 5, right? And they're just asking the x and y coordinate of P are both equal to, right? These are both x and y coordinates, both equal to 9 or both equal to minus 5. Correct? Yes. Also, because this is just the beginning of 2D geometry, try as many times as possible to draw and visualize the situation. Okay, even if in this case you don't have to, you already have the answer, but try and visualize it. In the beginning, it's very good to practice that, so that later stages you can do it much faster. So we know we have this straight line y equal to x, and we had this point 1 comma 3, right? 1 comma 3 would be somewhere here. Now at its distance of 10 units, we wanted what are those points, right? So mentally, can we do this? Mentally 1 comma 3, what is its distance from origin? Its distance from origin would be root of 1 square plus 3 square, right? Which means root 10. Root 10 is approximately 3.3 or something like that. So if this distance is 3.3, do you realize that 10 units, that distance would be somewhere over here or all the way over there, right? And exactly, think of it like drawing a circle with this as a center and 10 units as radius. Draw a circle. Now that circle will cut this line at exactly 2 points, right? If I hold it like this, there and here. So those 2 points will be, okay, that's a very badly drawn circle, but you understand, okay? Exactly those 2 points you have found out. Minus 5 comma minus 5 and 9 comma 9. Are you following this? Okay. Maybe if I had taken the point 1 comma 3 somewhere over here, you can understand it better. Let us say 1 comma 3. Let us say this distance is 3 units, right? So then that would be 9 and this would be minus 5, right? So can you see exactly why there would be exactly 2 points? All right. Now again, in fact, quite a few times JEE will ask you, they will just give you a couple of curves, different equations, and they want to know how many places of intersection. Now in such questions, if you try and solve it, it takes a long time, but if you can visualize it, it becomes very quickly possible. Okay? All right. Let us proceed then. So this is the point 1 comma 3 and this is y equal to x and this is P1, call it, and P2. All right? Okay. Then let us proceed. The square of the distance between the points sin theta cos theta and cos theta minus sin theta. Again, very straightforward. We know that d square is x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square. So x1 minus x2 the whole square is sin theta minus cos theta the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square would be cos theta minus sin theta the whole square. Expand this a minus b the whole square. So that is a square minus 2ab plus b square, right? So sin square theta minus 2 sin theta cos theta plus cos square theta, and then this becomes cos theta plus sin theta the whole square. So a square plus 2ab plus b square. So plus cos square theta plus 2 sin theta cos theta plus b square, which is sin square theta. Clearly minus 2 sin theta cos theta and plus 2 sin theta cos theta will get cancelled. We have sin square theta twice and cos square theta twice. But anyway, you know sin square theta plus cos square theta is 1. Cos square plus sin square is also 1, right? So let me just write that down. This is 2 times sin square theta plus cos square theta. This is 2. So the square of the distance is of course 2. Alright? Okay. Alright, if A is equal to, hold on, in the previous question, I wanted to realize that, understand your final answer independent of the value of theta, meaning these are all variable points, okay. Theta can keep changing, it can be 45 degrees, 30 degrees or 12 degrees, 19 degrees, doesn't matter. If you fix the value of theta and get these values, always the distance between them will be 2. Okay, there is a very clear geometric reason behind it, but right now you won't be able to understand it. I will just give you briefly what happens later. Probably when you get to 12th standard you will understand. These are basically points on unit circle. They are points on circle with center, origin and radius equal to 1, and they make a very specific angle with origin in a way that if this is the point P and this is Q, then angle between OP and OQ will be 90 degrees. Don't worry if you don't understand it, but these will make basically 90 degrees at the origin, and then when you apply geometry you will realize that this distance is root 2, therefore their square would be 2. Okay, doesn't matter. My point is, whatever be the value of theta, your final answer will always be 2. Okay, alright, let us proceed then. Okay, if A is this, B is this, these two given points, and S is A comma 0, then 1 by SA plus 1 by SB. Okay, first of all, A is 80 square comma 280. What is T here? Understand that T is it's not exactly a variable because X and Y are variables, and it is not exactly a constant because A is a constant. So T is somewhere between a variable and a constant. We call T a parameter. Okay, what it means is that as T keeps changing its value, you get different points A and B, but very specific points. You don't get every point A and B on the plane. Okay, very specific points. That's why we call T as a parameter. So if T is a parameter, then they are asking the value of 1 by SA plus 1 by SB. Once again, observe in the options, there is no T here in the options, which means your final answer will be completely independent of T, which is why it makes it so interesting that there are very specific points. There are infinite such pairs of points, but 1 by SA plus 1 by SB will always give you one fixed value, one constant value. Alright, so A is this, B is this, and S is this. Let us just write them. Given A 80 square comma 280, B A by T square comma minus 2A by T, S A comma 0. Alright, now for our convenience, let us calculate SA square. Okay, not SA but SA square would be x1 minus x2 the whole square. Can we directly write it now? A T square minus A the whole square plus 2AT minus 0 the whole square, right? Y1 minus Y2 the whole square. So notice that A is common here. So A into T square minus 1, the entire thing square, plus this is just 280 the whole square. So 4A square T square, right? So in fact, if you expand this now, in fact this was not required, we need not have taken it out as common. Let's do it anyway. A square, take A square common, you will have T square minus 1 the whole square and 4T square, correct? Now, does it ring a bell? Have you seen this before? We have seen this before only a couple of questions earlier, where you had A minus B the whole square plus 4AB, or x1 minus x2 the whole square plus 4x1 x2. What should that give us? That will give us sum of the root square. In this case, it will be T square plus 1 the whole square. How is that exactly? Check. A square into T raised to 4 minus 2T square plus 1 plus 4T square, right? And minus 2T square plus 4T square will give you plus 2T square. So, which means SA square is A square into T raised to 4 T raised to 4 plus 2T square plus 1, right? Which is A square into T square plus 1 the whole square. Now do you realize this RHS is also perfect square, LHS is also perfect square. Also SA is a distance. which means SA cannot be negative, which means we will just take positive values, right? Which means SA is equal to A into T square plus 1, that's it. I am just ignoring all those squares. So A into T square plus 1. Of course here we are assuming that A is greater than 0, which is not exactly given in the question. Technically it should be given in the question that A is positive. But keep in mind that they are both distances and look at all the options. All the options have only A, which means it is understood that A is positive. So SA is A into T square plus 1. Now we need to figure out SB, right? So and SB square equal to x1 minus x2 the whole square. So A minus A by T square. A minus A by T square the whole square plus 0 minus minus of this. So 0 minus minus 2A by T the whole square. Right? So expand this now. A square plus A square by T raised to 4 minus 2 A square by T square, right? Minus 2 AB. And then this becomes what? This is a plus, and anyway there is a square here. So plus 4A square by T square. Once again, can you see? Minus 2A square by T square plus 4A square by T square. It will become plus 2A square by T square, right? Alright, which means SB square equal to, we had A square, see you had A square and then A square by T raised to 4 and plus 2A square by T square. A square by T raised to 4 plus 2A square by T square. Once again, let us take A square outside. Then you have 1 plus 1 by T raised to 4, write it as T square the whole square plus A square has come outside. So 2 into 1 by T square. Why are we writing it like this? Because this then becomes A square plus B square plus 2AB, right? Which is A plus B the whole square. So this is A square into 1 plus 1 by T square the whole square, right? So that is, cross multiply this, A square into T square plus 1 the whole square upon T square, that is SB the whole square, right? Which means SB equal to, ignore all the squares, A into T square plus 1 upon T. Got it? I seem to have made a mistake. Observe what I did here. When you cross multiply T, this becomes T square plus 1 upon T square. But inside the bracket itself is T square and then there is a perfect square. Which means this power will actually be fourth power. Can you see that? This power would be the fourth power. Because inside the bracket there is a square and outside the bracket also there is a square. And so when you take square root, this becomes square. Alright, so now we have SA and SB both, right? You mark SA 1, there are no ones anywhere, right? Yeah. And you mark SB 2, right? So from 1 and 2, which means, no, let us write that first. From 1 and 2. 1 by SA plus 1 by SB equal to, now what was SA? A into T square plus 1, right? So 1 by A into T square plus 1 plus 1 by SB. SB, you see it's reciprocal, this T square will go up. So you have T square by A into T square plus 1. Do you notice the denominator is same? So this is 1 plus T square upon A into T square plus 1. And now look at the beauty of this thing. numerator 1 plus t square, denominator has also t square plus 1. That part would get cancelled and only 1 would remain, right? So then this becomes 1 by a. Got it? Which means 1 by SA plus 1 by SB is 1 by A. Alright? Now, you might wonder, how is it that they got, why will anyone think of these numbers? How is it that everything got cancelled? How did we just get 1 by A? There is a lot of geometry behind this. You will get to this when you get to conic section chapter in 12th standard. Right now we are just using distance formula. But when you get to conic sections, you'll realize that these are points of a parabola, and this is the focus of a parabola, etc. Focus of a parabola and line through the focus, they have very special properties. This is one of those properties. Okay? So why am I telling you all this? Because you have to realize that even in 12th standard, when you're going to be studying much more advanced concepts than all this, you will be using these same basics. To prove this, what you have done is proving that property in 12th standard. Okay? To prove that property, you will be using distance formula only. But you need to be very comfortable with this. Okay? Alright. Let us proceed then. The base of an equilateral triangle with side 2A lies along the y-axis such that the midpoint of the base is at the origin. Find the vertices of the triangle. It's a purely visualization based question. Okay? The base of an equilateral triangle. So if this is your x and y axis origin, base of an equilateral triangle of side 2A lies along the y axis. So there's an equilateral triangle whose base is along the y axis. And the side length is 2A. If this whole thing is 2A, means this must be A and A. Can you see that? Yes. And then by symmetry, when I continue this into the third point, the third vertex, can you see by symmetry the third vertex must lie on x-axis, right? And we need to find, let us label everything, A, B and C. We need to find the coordinates of all these points, right? So let C be, shall I take alpha comma beta? Once again, two unknowns, which means I need two equations, but no other information is given. So there is some inherent information that we should use. What is that? That any point on x-axis, its y coordinate will be 0. So C alpha comma beta can also be written as C alpha comma 0. That is very important for you to understand. So now there is only one unknown, I need only one equation. And that equation we can get from the fact that this is an equilateral triangle. Because it's an equilateral triangle, all the sides, their lengths will be same. Correct? So, okay, now slowly let us proceed. So now this midpoint is origin, right? Point B, okay, let's take point A first. Point A lies exactly A units on the y-axis above x-axis, above the origin, right? Which means since it lies on y-axis, its x-coordinate would be 0 and its y-coordinate would be A, because exactly A units above the x-axis. Similarly for point B, it lies on the y-axis, so its x-coordinate would be 0 and it's exactly A units below, so 0 comma minus A. So for vertices A and B, the diagram itself will give you the answer. They want 3 vertices, we already have 2 vertices, right? Let us write that down first. Okay, so let A and B lie on y-axis and AB equal to 2A units, right? Which means vertices, vertex A will have coordinates A 0 comma A and vertex B will have 0 comma minus A. That is first conclusion. Second, point C we have alpha comma 0, right? So and C alpha comma 0 be the third vertex. And understand here, we are directly assuming the symmetry property, that because it's an equilateral triangle, everything will be symmetric, therefore C must lie on the x-axis. That much is understood. That is why we have taken C alpha comma 0. Now, so I told you that when you have one unknown, you need one equation. What could be that equation? Now this is where a lot of students in the beginning they stumble, because in the question no equation is given. Okay, so understand this very basic idea of problem solving in geometry. At least every given geometric information is also one equation. You need to think about it like this. So we have already used one geometric information, which is that O is the midpoint and this is an equilateral triangle. Therefore, by symmetry, C lies on x-axis. That's one geometric information we have used. What is the other geometric information that we can use? We can use the fact that for an equilateral triangle, all the sides are equal. Now, if all the sides are equal, that means you know length AB, AC and BC. Now, look at AC. You know 0 and A because A is given in the question, which means you know A, right? You need to find alpha and you know length AC. What is length AC? Also 2A. This length is also 2A. Now that is where a lot of students get confused, because they are not able to figure out that, okay, I should use this piece of information. So always keep in mind, in coordinate geometry at least, every piece of geometric information can be translated into one equation. And if you have one equation, that means you can solve for one unknown. Alright. So, also AC equal to 2A. Why? Since triangle is equilateral. Right? Which means AC square is 4A square. Right? Why am I using squares? Because I don't want to write square root. And point A, what are the coordinates of point A? 0, A. Point C is alpha, 0. Which means, apply distance formula, 0 minus alpha the whole square plus A minus 0 the whole square equal to 4A square. Correct? Which means, this whole thing will become alpha square plus, this is A square equal to 4A square, right? Which means alpha square is, take that there, 3A square, which means alpha must be, okay, should we take plus or minus? There is no condition on alpha, because keep in mind alpha is just a coordinate. Alpha is not a distance, it is just a coordinate, and coordinates can be positive or negative. Therefore, alpha is plus or minus root 3A. Okay, which means your C alpha, 0 could be C root 3A, 0 or minus root 3A, 0. Okay, now your answer is here, your answer is done. Now at this stage, you should ask yourself, why are we getting two answers for C? Because for A and B, we have only one answer. For A and B, we had only one answer. For C, why are we getting two answers? So there is a very clear geometric reason behind it. No one said that the triangle lies on right side of y-axis. It is out of habit that we always take positive values everywhere. But the third vertex can be on any side. Okay. So we have taken this particular triangle, but keep in mind that this triangle is also possible. So this is C1 root 3A, 0 and this is C2 minus root 3A, 0, and both are positive. Both triangles will be equilateral. Both triangles will have their midpoint of the base at origin, and both triangles, their side length would be 2A. So again, this is very important, because again, what JEE can do is, instead of asking you the vertices, JEE can very easily ask you how many such triangles are possible. In fact, very frequently they do ask such questions. How many such triangles, how many such circles, how many such quadrilaterals, how many such lines are possible. So it is often when you solve a particular equation, whenever you get multiple solutions, we try to just ignore it because we want one particular answer, but you should not ignore it. You should always ask, why are we getting multiple answers? Are they all geometrically valid? When you do this, you will realize, in fact, so next time when you have to solve this, directly by diagram itself you might be able to proceed. Okay. All right. There is something slightly different you could have done. Okay. So there is an alternate solution. I'll just give you a hint. Not going to complete it. We know this equilateral triangle is going to lie like this, and we know we are trying to find C alpha comma 0. This distance is alpha, no? Somehow if I can find this distance, my work is done. We know this distance is alpha, my work is done. Keep in mind that this angle is 60 degrees in a triangle. Now let us label them A, B and C, call this point O, right? And we know this is a right angle triangle. So tan 60 degrees is OC upon OB, which is actually alpha upon A. And what is tan 60 degrees? Root 3. Correct? Just take A there, alpha is root 3A, root 3A. You could have also done this. So all these methods are perfectly acceptable, which is why coordinate geometry works so well. You can solve it by geometry or you can solve it by writing equations. Both are perfectly acceptable. But what happens is many times in geometry, you will not think of all possibilities like this. But if you just write the equations, no, equations will always tell you all possibilities. That is the benefit, that is the advantage of solving any problem by equations. But over time, you will realize geometry saves you time. So be comfortable, practice both. Alright? Okay. Let us proceed then. Find the distance between P x1 y1 and Q x2 y2 when PQ is parallel to y axis and PQ is parallel to x axis. This is a purely geometric question. Take one. PQ is parallel to y axis. So if I take this point P, x1 comma y1, PQ needs to be parallel to y axis. So PQ should be vertical. Take point Q. Q x2 comma y2. You have to realize that because PQ is parallel to y axis, all the points on this line, they will have the same x coordinate. So this is something to be understood, that Q is actually x1 comma y2, that x1 and x2 are same when PQ is parallel to y axis, right? And so we need to find this distance, no? What is this distance? Like I told you earlier, instead of taking the coordinate, we will take mods. This distance is mod y1 and this distance is mod y2. Correct? So should we just go with mod of y1 plus y2? In this particular case that works, but what if Q was over here? In which case mod of y1 plus y2 will give you a completely different answer. So what we will do is, draw another possibility and take P, take Q, x1, y1, x2, y2. This time this distance is how much? This whole thing will be y1, y2. This distance would be y1 minus y2. Let's do this more neatly. Or see, this is origin, this is a point P, x1 comma y1, Q, x2 comma y2, right? Okay, I should have taken Q up. Q, x2 comma y2, right? So this time this distance would be what? y1 minus y2, right? So here PQ would be mod y1 plus mod y2, but here it would be PQ is y1 minus y2. So if you want to generalize, what you should do is always subtract the two coordinates and then take mod, right? So in general, PQ would be mod of y1 minus y2. When you do that, always you will get the exact distance between PQ. Okay, so this I'm sure you can understand how taking mod will help. What about this? How come this is also helping? Because keep in mind, in this particular case, y1 is positive, y2 is negative. So y1 is something like plus 5, minus 3. So mod of plus 5 plus mod of minus 3 is what? 5 plus 3, 8. What if you did 5 minus minus 3? 5 minus minus 3 also gives you 8. Correct? Which is why this formula works in general. Alright. So that is when PQ is parallel to y-axis. Now we will come to the second point, but alternately, that was trying to get it geometrically. Alternately, we could say d square would be x1 minus x2 the whole square plus y1 minus y2 the whole square, right? But PQ is parallel to y-axis. Whenever that happens, x1 equal to x2, right? Which means x1 minus x2 the whole square is 0, which means d square is y1 minus y2 the whole square, that is, take square root d. We want only positive value, therefore mod of y1 minus y2. This is, we did not draw anything here. This is completely based on equations. So here we got to the answer faster. If you go by geometry, sometimes it can take time. So like I said, you should be comfortable with both, which is why I have given you both methods. Alright. So based on all this, for the second question, when PQ is parallel to x-axis, PQ is parallel to x-axis, PQ, right? So here, directly can you say PQ would be mod of, subtract the x coordinates, x1 minus x2. Right? Keep in mind that x1 need not be greater than x2. For example, in this particular case, x1 will be smaller than x2 because x coordinate of p something like 2, x coordinate of q something like 5. 2 minus 5. 2 minus 5 will give you minus 3. But when you put mod, it will give you plus 3 again. Correct? Which is why we put mod. Got it? Okay. Then let us proceed. Find a point on the x-axis which is equidistant from the points 7, 6 and 3, 4. Alright. So, any point on x-axis can be taken as what? Let P, yes, alpha, 0 be on x-axis. Right? And Q and R be the given points. Q 7, 6, R 3, 4. Understand that this is very important. Okay, many students make a mistake here. They will take P alpha, beta. And then because there are two unknowns, they will think, okay, what are the two equations? I need two equations for two unknowns. So this is inherently x-axis itself contains some information. We should be able to use that information. Okay, so P, Q and R. It is given PQ equal to PR. Right? Now I want to avoid square roots, which means PQ square equal to PR square, then apply distance formula, right? So PQ square will be alpha minus 7 the whole square plus 0 minus 6 the whole square equal to alpha minus 3 the whole square plus 0 minus 4 the whole square, right? Okay, so now can you tell me, the question says find a point. This is a quadratic equation, which means we should get 2 points, correct? But they're asking only 1 point. How do we know whether it should be 2 points or not? The solution itself will tell you how many such points are possible. Okay, which is why this solving method is so useful. The solution will tell you how many such points are possible. Just solve it. So this becomes alpha square, alpha minus 7 the whole square. So alpha square minus 14 alpha plus 49, right? And 6 square is 36 equal to, this becomes alpha square minus 6 alpha plus 9. Alpha square minus 6 alpha plus 9 and plus 16 Now observe that alpha square will get cancelled, and because alpha square gets cancelled, then suddenly this equation is a linear equation. Because it's a linear equation, that means only one solution is possible. Correct? That is how you figure out, that is how geometry and algebra play with each other. So only one solution, therefore only one such point is possible. Bring everything to RHS. Bring everything. 14 alpha minus 6 alpha is 8 alpha, and then 9 minus 49 is minus 40, and then 16 minus 36 minus 20 equal to 0. This is minus 60, take it there. Alpha is equal to 60 upon 8, cancel with 4, 15 by 2. We got alpha, we wanted that 1 point, no? Therefore, P alpha comma 0 is the point P 15 by 2 comma 0. Yeah? Got it? Okay, let us proceed then. Do the points 3 comma 2 minus 2 minus 3 2 comma 3 form a triangle? If so, name the type of triangle formed. Alright. First of all, do they form a triangle? So let points A, B and C, right? So now, how do you know that 3 points can form a triangle? So we know that A, B and C form a triangle. This is something that you would have studied way back, probably 6th or 7th standard. If and only if all these conditions are satisfied, that AB plus BC is greater than AC, AB plus AC is greater than BC, and BC plus AC is greater than BC plus AC is greater than AB. All these 3 conditions must be satisfied. This is very important. Alright. Sum of any 2 sides should be greater than the third side. Now we need to check that. We need to verify it. So here AB is what? AB is under root 3 minus 2. So 3 plus 2 the whole square plus 2 plus 3 the whole square, which is under root, this is 5 square 25 plus 25, right, which is root 50. Then BC would be under root minus 2 the whole square plus minus 3 the whole square, which is under root 4 square, so root 16, and under root 6 square, so root 36, which will turn out to be root 52. So BC is root 52. What about AC? And AC would be under root A and C, 3 minus 2 the whole square and 2 minus 3 the whole square. 3 minus 2 the whole square plus 2 minus 3 the whole square, which means AC is equal to, this is just 1 square, this is minus 1 the whole square, which is also 1. So under root 1 plus 1, which is root 2, right? Just write it down once again. AB turned out to be root 50, BC turned out to be root 52. Root 50, BC is root 52. First of all, add these two, root 2 plus root 50. Will it be greater than root 52? Okay, for that, you will have to do a bit of calculation. So I will leave it to verify that sum of any 2 sides greater than third side. Alright, because that will be a lot of calculations. What is more interesting here is that if this is root 2, this is 50 and this is 52. Clearly somehow these numbers are adding up, 50 plus 2 is 52, but there are square roots. So we will make this observation clearly. What is that observation? this is BC. BC square, which is 52, is also AB square plus AC square. AB square plus AC square, which means triangle ABC is a right angle triangle. Correct? Triangle ABC is a right angle triangle, which is what they were asking. Now, in general, when you go forward, when you're given 3 points and asked to find whether they form a triangle or not, it will be helpful for you to just try and plot them. Because just keep in mind that 3 points, if they're not collinear, they will form a triangle. There's another way to put it, no? If these 3 points do not fall in a straight line, then they will form a triangle. So you just have to plot them and verify. That is another way to go about it, right? Later, when you proceed, you will learn about slope. You can also calculate their slopes and check that the slopes don't match. If the slopes don't match, then they don't fall a line. If they don't fall on a line, then they make a triangle. That is another way to see it. Okay? Alright. Then let us proceed. Show that these 4 given points are the vertices of a square. Okay. So let A 1 7, B 4 2, C -1 D -4 4. Okay. So let us say they just make a quadrilateral, some random quadrilateral. But we want this to go into a square. As in, we want to verify that it is not this, it is in fact this. How do you do that? So, ABCD is a square if and only if, first, all sides must be equal. AB equal to BC equal to CD equal to DA. AD, and mind you, when all sides are equal, it can also be a rhombus. We don't want it to be a rhombus. Now, how are a square and a rhombus different? In a rhombus, think of a kite. A kite is a rhombus. In a rhombus, diagonals are of unequal length. So, if all the sides are equal and both the diagonals are also equal, so and AC equal to BD, then it becomes a square. Now, we have to check whether all of these things are happening or not. So, we are going to check AB root of, can now directly just do this, subtract and square. So, 4 minus 1, 3 square plus 7 minus 2, 5 square, which is under root 9 plus 25, 34. Then BC, 4 minus 1, so 5 square, and then 2 minus 1 plus 3 square, clearly this is also root 34. CD minus 1 plus 4, so 3 square, and then minus 1 minus 4, so plus minus 5 the whole square. Again same, because minus will go away when you square it, and DA would be root DA, right? So 1 minus 4, 5 square, and then 7 minus 4, 3 square. Okay, so all the sides are clearly equal. Clearly AB equal to BC equal to CD equal to DA, right? Which means this has come up to a rhombus. Now we will check the diagonals. This only means it's a rhombus. Now check the diagonals. AC, so 1 minus 1, 2 square, and then 7 minus 1, 8 square, right? That is under root 4 plus 64, 68. And AC and BD under root 4 minus 4, once again 8 square, and 2 minus 4, 2 square. In fact, minus 2 square. So that is once again root 64 plus root 4, root 68, right? So AC is root 68, BD is also root 68, both the diagonals are equal. So AC equal to BD, so mark 1 and 2, 1 and 2 imply ABCD is a square, correct? One slightly different method of doing the same thing would have been, if you go back, what are each of these values? AB is root 34, no? AB is root 34, this is root 68. 68 is exactly double of 34. That is not a coincidence, because I will just say note, AC equal to root 68, it is root 2 times AB. Diagonal is root 2 times the side, all sides are equal, and diagonal is root 2 times that. That will also automatically give you that this is a perfect square. Why should that happen? That should happen because of geometry of a square. This angle is 45 degrees. So if this is root 34, tan 45 degrees, sorry, not tan 45, sin 45, 1 by root 2. This would be root 34 into root 2. That is another way to look at it, that therefore this must be a square. Why? Because then this angle is 45 degrees, therefore everything is 90 degrees and therefore it's a square. That's another way to look at it. Okay? Alright. Alright. So find the relationship between x and y such that the point x, y is equidistant from the points 7, 1 and 3, 5. Alright. So A x, y, it is given point A x, y, B 7, 1, C 3, 5, and it is also given that AB equal to AC, right? Equidistant. So now we can just use distance formula. So AB square equal to AC square, which means apply x minus 3 the whole square plus y minus 5 the whole square equal to AC square. So x minus, no. So we should have taken 7 and 1 here. Plus y minus 5 the whole square, right? So simplify this. Hold on, there are two unknowns here, x and y. We have written only one equation. With one equation you cannot solve it, x and y, no, correct? We have always said that if you have two unknowns then you need two equations. So we cannot solve for x and y, but you don't have to. Again, this understanding is very basic, so basic that many students don't get it. What is that? They are not asking you to find the value of x and y. They are asking you to find the relationship between x and y. Which means, if you can just give an equation, just have an equation that contains x, y and some numbers, that is enough. And you see, this is the equation. This right here, already you can say, you know what, this is the relation. But because in mathematics, out of habit, we try to simplify everything and leave it in the simplest form. Okay. But you should realize, this is the answer they are looking for. This itself is a relation between x and y such that point x, y is equidistant from 7, 1 and 3, 5. Now we just have to simplify this. Okay. So from here we will have x square minus 14x plus 49 plus y square minus 2y plus 1 equal to x square minus 6x plus 9 plus y square minus 10y plus 25, right? Do you realize all the x squares and y squares are going to get cancelled? All the x squares and y squares are going to get cancelled. What are you left with? Bring everything to RHS. So 14x minus 6x is 8x. And then minus 10y plus 2y. So minus 8y. And then 25 plus 9. So plus 34. Minus 49 plus 1 is 50 equal to 0. Right? This is minus 16. which means what we have is 8x minus 8y minus 16 equal to 0. Remove 8x minus y equal to 2, right? Minus 2, take it to plus side 2. Now this, what is this? How do you know this is the answer? Because they are only asking for find a relationship between x and y, right? So this is a relation between x and y. In fact, this is the relation between x and y such that x comma y is equidistant from given points. Now this is a very important point that you all need to understand, that they are not asking you to find the value of x and y, you just need to find one equation that contains both x, y and numbers. Now here is something interesting. Okay, your problem is already solved, this is your answer. Now here is something interesting. What is this equation? What will it represent? Do you realize this is a linear equation in two variables, which means it will represent a straight line? That much you understand, right? So observe, x minus y equal to 2 is a straight line. Question is, why is it a straight line? Why are you getting a straight line equation? So you see, algebraically, when you're getting a straight line answer, geometrically also you should get a straight line. So let us check. Take the 2 points B 7, 1, C 3, 5. Now ask yourself, where should A lie? Where should the point A be? We want AB and AC, A to be equidistant, no? But there is no, we don't know what these distances actually are. We are only saying these two should be equal, which means this should be an isosceles triangle. But there are infinite isosceles triangles possible. Correct? Do you realize that all these points represent a possible position for point A? Which means A, x, y can lie anywhere on this straight line. What is this straight line called? Do you realize? Because of symmetry, this straight line L is called the perpendicular bisector. So what you have just figured out, this is the equation of the perpendicular bisector of the line segment BC. Okay, so let us just write that down, that since AB equal to AC, A lies anywhere on perpendicular bisector of BC. This is very important for you to understand. The question is not asking that, but I can easily modify the question and ask you, how many such points A are possible? The answer is infinite such points are possible. Okay, so that is x minus y equal to 2 is perpendicular bisector of BC. This all is a note only. Okay, this is a note, this is not part of the solution. Okay, got it? Let us proceed then. Find the point on the y-axis which is equidistant from the points A 6, 5 and B minus 4, 3. Okay, so now answer this mentally, answer it to yourself. Any point on the y-axis, what should I take the point as? For x-axis, earlier we have taken point alpha, 0. For y-axis, the point should be, think about it. Yes, what should it be? I hope you got it. 0, beta. Why 0, beta? Because 0, its x coordinate would be 0 because the point lies on y-axis. Okay, we'll start with let P 0, beta lie on y-axis. X coordinate is 0 because the point lies on y-axis. That's simple as that, right? And A 6, 5, B is minus 4, 3, right? It is given that AP equal to PB. Equidistant, no? Which means now how many unknowns do we have? One unknown. Beta is your only unknown. How many equations do you have? One equation. One unknown, one equation, which means you can solve it. Okay? This. You should be now well rested. Okay, now we can definitely get the answer. So, which means AP square equal to PB square. Right? Now get AP square. 6 minus 0 the whole square plus 5 minus beta the whole square equal to BP square. Minus 4 minus 0 the whole square plus 3 minus beta the whole square. Right? Which means 6 minus 0 whole square 36 plus 5 minus beta the whole square. So this is like a minus beta whole square. Apply the formula a square minus 2ab plus b square. So plus 25 minus 10 beta plus beta square equal to, how much would this be? 16 plus, this is 9 minus 6 beta plus beta square. Once again realize that beta is going to get cancelled, beta square is going to get cancelled, which means 2 points are not possible, 1 point only will be possible. Okay? So, which means bring everything to RHS, 10 beta minus 6 beta, 4 beta plus 25 minus 36 equal to 0. 25 will get cancelled. 4 beta equal to 36, or beta is 36 by 4, 9. Right? Beta is 9, therefore find a point on y-axis. What is that point? Which means P 0 comma beta is P 0 comma 9 is the required point. Alright, got it? Okay, let us proceed then. Alright, so we have reached the end of the session. Thank you.